Good evening. It is now 6:30 PM and I'd like to call the regular Cultural Heritage Commission meeting of October 19th, 2023 to order. Before I proceed, I would like to take a moment to go over our meeting protocols for today. The South Pasadena Cultural Heritage Commission meeting for October 19th, 2023 will be conducted in person. To maximize public safety while still maintaining transparency and public access, members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom. Staff, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Dean,
Here.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Cross, absent, Vice Chair Lopez,
Here.
Chair Gallatin.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. Next, we move on to the approval of the agenda. Commissioners, do you have any requests for additions or revisions to the agenda? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, I'd like a vote of the commission to proceed with approval of the agenda as submitted. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, very good. Next is disclosure by commissioners of site visits and ex parte contact for items on today's agenda. We'll begin with Commissioner Ding.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris? Thank you. Vice Chair Lopez?
Nothing to report.
And I also have nothing to report. Now is the time for public comment. This is public comment for general items that are not on tonight's agenda. Has staff received any public comment cards in person?
We have not received any public comments in person.
Okay. And how about on Zoom?
Guests on Zoom, if you have any questions, please raise the hand icon to make a public comment for the general agenda items. And we do not have any comments via Zoom.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the consent calendar items. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered by the Cultural Heritage Commission to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion unless a public comment has been received or a commissioner requests otherwise, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Staff, are there any speakers on Zoom or in person that would like to speak on a consent item prior to taking a motion?
We have not received any requests via Zoom or in person.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any items that you would like to pull from the consent calendar? All right, seeing none, I will ask for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we come to our first public hearing of the evening. This is a project at 1401 Santa Teresa Street. It's a request for a notice of intent to demolish a 1,882 square foot single-family residence located at 1401 Santa Teresa Street. And it includes the demolition of buildings that are over 45 years of age and are required to be evaluated to determine if the property is eligible for historic designation. And to present the staff report, we have Sandra Robles.
Thank you, Chair Gallatin. Good evening. As Chair Gallatin mentioned, this next project is 1401 Santa Teresa, and the project number is 2566 NID DRX. This next slide is an aerial view of the subject property. It is in a regularly shaped lot and is located south of Monterey Road and west of Villa del Rey. The applicant is requesting to demolish a 1,882 square foot single-family dwelling in order to construct a new single-family dwelling. The subject property is over 45 years. As such, the South Pasadena Municipal Code, Section 2.65E3, requires that it be evaluated for historic designation. This next slide are of some details for the subject property. It is zoned Altos de Monterey, and the lot size is 40,367 square feet. The house size is 1,882 square feet, and it has an attached 504 square foot garage. The property was built in 1965. The historic resource evaluation report that was submitted evaluated the subject property for eligibility for national, state, and local historic designation. And based on the HRE findings, the subject property is not eligible for historic designation. As such, staff recommends that the Cultural Heritage Commission find the project exempt under secret guidelines. The section 15061B3 common sense exemption and class 3, section 15303 new construction or conversion of small structures. And that the commission make the determination that the property at 1401 Santa Teresa Street does not meet the criteria for historic designation and may proceed through the city's development application process. That concludes staff presentation. Staff is available to answer your questions, and the consultant should be available via Zoom.
Thank you, Sandra. Does anyone on the commission have any questions for staff? No questions, okay. Does the applicant have a presentation?
The applicant does not have a presentation.
Okay, very good. I will now open the public hearing. Staff, are there any public comments received for this item?
We have not received any public comments in chambers. Guests on Zoom, if you have any questions, please take the opportunity to raise the hand icon to make a public comment on item number 4. And we do not have any public comments via Zoom.
All right, very good. We'll close the public hearing now and have discussion among the commission. And I will turn to Vice Chair Lopez to lead it off.
Thank you, Commissioner. It seems a pretty straightforward request. I don't think I agree with all the historical assessments, and I don't see a problem for granting a demo permit for the structure.
Very good. Commissioner Ding,
I don't have anything at this time.
very good. Commissioner Morrish. Yes, and nor did I. It was a well-prepared report and very clear and easy to follow and very clear conclusion. So at this point, since we have really no further discussion, I would entertain a motion on this item and a second.
So when I do a motion to I'm not sure is the permit is not a permit to demolish, but it what is the request to notice of intent? So a motion to approve the notice of intent to demolish the structure has been presented in the paperwork.
And
Okay,
I will second.
okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Staff, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Ding,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrish, Vice Chair Lopez,
Yes.
and Chair Gallatin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we will move on to agenda item number 5, which is at 605 Grand Avenue. And this is a request for certificate of appropriateness for a 494 square foot second story addition to an existing 2,173 square foot 2-story single family residence. And to present the staff report, we have Assistant Planner Mackenzie Goldberg.
I'm Mackenzie Goldberg, and I will presenting item number 5 on the agenda this evening for project number 2582 COA located at 605 Grand Avenue. The subject site is an irregular shaped lot located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Sterling Place and abutting the private street 5 Oaks Drive. It is approximately 8,335 square feet. It is zoned RS for residential single family and is surrounded by 1 to 2-story residential uses. The subject site is currently improved with a 2,173 square foot 2-story single family residence and a 460 square foot attached garage. The home was originally built in 1927 in the Spanish colonial revival style. The property is a potential contributor to the eligible Mid-Grand Avenue Revival District, which was identified in the city's 2017 survey. Since being built, the property has undergone several alterations. According to building records, in 1932, a permit was issued for the addition of a servant's quarter at the rear of the house. In 1955, a permit was issued for the addition of a carport with an associated permit issued for a new driveway approach. In 2011, a re-roof permit was issued for the taking off of the tiles and the installation of the composition shingles. In 2015, a permit was issued for an expansion of the existing two-car garage and a new gable pitched roof. That same year, a permit was issued for a new pool and jacuzzi in the side yard along Sterling Place. The applicant is proposing to add a 498 square foot addition to the second story. It will be located to the rear of the property and will not be visible from Grand Avenue. However, given that the property is located on a corner lot, the new second story addition will be visible from Sterling Place. Here is the existing site plan. Here is the proposed site plan with the second story addition highlighted in green. The proposed project complies with the development standards for the RS zone, as well as those for small non-conforming residential parcels. Here is the existing and proposed second floor plan, again showing the addition highlighted in green. Here is the front elevation along Grand Avenue. There is no work being proposed to this elevation. Here are the existing and proposed south side elevations, which will be visible along Sterling Place. You can see the second story addition highlighted in green. The applicant is also proposing to demolish an existing vinyl sliding window on the first floor, replacing it with a casement and fixed arch window. On the second floor balcony, the applicant is proposing to add a casement window that is necessary for egress purposes. Here's the existing and proposed rear elevation. From this elevation, you can see the roof ridge is set down 21 inches from the original roof line, creating a clear distinction. The original decorative clay vent will also be removed and reused on the new addition. Here are the existing and proposed roof plans. As you can see, the design extends the gabled roof form to the west at the same pitch as the existing. Here are some renderings of the proposed design. Staff recommends that the Cultural Heritage Commission find the project exempt from SECRO pursuant to section 15301, class 1 for existing facilities, since the project is less than 10,000 square feet, and pursuant to section 15331, class 31 for historical resource restoration rehabilitation, as the project is proposing modifications to a potential historic resource. Lastly, staff recommends approval of the proposed addition subject to the recommended conditions of approval. Thank you. That concludes my presentation. I am available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Does anyone have any questions of staff? No? Okay. I don't either. Does the applicant have a presentation?
The applicant does have a presentation.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Patrick Serpicki. I'm the architect on the project. We prepared a pre-recorded presentation.
Good evening. Tonight, our presentation will highlight the project proposal for 605 Grand Avenue, prepared by architect Patrick Serpicki of Studio Build. The original home is a two-story, 2,173 square foot Spanish colonial revival. The residence is set on a corner lot, and the south elevation has a prominent view from both Grand and Sterling Street. In 1932, a single-story service quarter was added, and in 1955, a new carport garage was added. These additions connected the single-story structure to the two-story massing of the original residence. The single-story addition created a massing that is not typical characteristic of a second-story Spanish-style home. The single story is longer than the original two-story home and is not aesthetically proportional as a 50-50 split of the single story to the two-story. In the proposed design, we wanted to address the unbalance of the building massing. To clearly delineate the new addition from the original residence, the second floor addition's southern wall is set back from the base of the original second floor. The new addition will match existing roof slopes and the massing of the original structure. To clearly delineate the proposed structure from the original, the new ridge line of the addition will be 21 inches lower than the ridge line of the original second story. The proposed design will create a 498 square foot second floor addition that will add a new guest suite bathroom for multi-generational living. The project will also reorganize the original second floor to add a bathroom to the primary bedroom. The property is considered a small lot for zoning standards, thus requiring a larger second floor property line setback of 8'6". The existing lower level portion of the home we propose building over is only set back 5 feet from the side yard property line. This design constraint created an opportunity to introduce a corbelled second floor overhang that adds design detail to the south side elevation that is characteristic of the Spanish colonial revival style. The Juliet balcony will complement the adjacent existing larger balcony. The new addition will continue the use of smooth hand trowel stucco and architectural details similar to the original residence. Also inspired by the original are the wood and stucco corbelled overhang at the new cantilever addition. The project will continue the use of exposed rafter tails and outlookers that are prominent on the existing residence. In 2013, the current property owner invested in replacing most of the existing windows. The existing windows were a mix of original, deteriorated wood windows, and several aluminum and vinyl replacement windows. The owner kept all the existing opening sizes and maintained the recessed stucco detail. The 2013 project used dual glazed wood windows that replicated the original outswing French casement windows. The new project will continue the use of authentic wood windows with the recessed stucco installation to match. The windows on the 1928 structure consist of horizontal window mullions. A home dating from 1932 and later have both horizontal and vertical mullions. The new second-story addition will require wider windows to meet bedroom egress. The proportions of the windows are more appropriate to have both vertical and horizontal mullions. We are proposing all new windows to the second floor addition to be 6 light windows. This will further delineate the new addition from the original structure of 3 light windows. The remodeled kitchen design will remove an existing vinyl sliding window unit. We will refurbish the existing arch-top window and a flat-top middle casement with a new flanking arch-top window. This will balance the window fenestration on the exterior and interior. We are proposing a new transom window over the existing French doors in the 1932 portion of the home. This helps minimize stucco massing from the top of existing doors and the new corbelled second floor addition, and creates a visual likeness to the addition's proposed overhang. Architect Patrick Serpicki of Studio Build and Darren Ross of Ross Construction have collaborated on several successful CHC projects and are currently on the build of 2 other CHC-approved projects. Our focus as a design historic resources with new design solutions that respect and preserve the original architecture elements. We strive to restore these historic elements while introducing appropriate, thoughtfully designed additions that tell a story of modern lifestyle amenities executed with timeless quality craftsmanship. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you for that presentation. Did you have anything further to add?
No, I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, very good, thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Morris. Did you have any questions of the applicant? On the windows?
Sorry, Commissioner Morris, can you speak to them? Thank you.
On the south elevation, the new window on the second story, are you proposing grills on that window? I thought I saw that in the video, but it's not on the.
On the second floor,
Yeah,
we have to put a new window. It's gonna be pretty it's wider because of
Yeah.
egress. So I was just kind of proposing any new window openings that weren't original to the home that we would do divide lights horizontal and vertical.
okay, but those wooden grill.
Oh, on the lower floor? Oh, yeah.
Is it replicated anywhere else? Or-
We're gonna protect the one that's existing, and then the new arch window, we were thinking about replicating that, so there was like a little bit of
But I
a,
didn't see that upstairs anywhere.
we didn't do it, yeah, we didn't need that upstairs, yeah.
Um. Question, but
Mhm.
go ahead, Mark, you'll probably cover it anyway.
Okay, well, I'll turn to Vice Chair Lopez next for
N-
questions.
No questions.
Commissioner Dang,
No questions.
thank you. Patrick, I just had two questions. Actually, one is a comment, which
Okay.
I think is a very minor error
Okay,
on sheet A 1.2, that color rendering there. There's a note at the bottom and an arrow pointing to a door saying arched window. Boy, that is small. I cannot. Art with wood grill to remain. And I didn't see an arched
that's where it
window
was, okay,
there.
sorry, that note should have been down at the first floor.
Okay. And then the second one I wanted to ask about was in the garage. This is on sheet A 3.1. There is a note, second floor build out, option C, if able to revise existing square footage. Can you explain what option C is?
Just a bad note from an
Oh,
old conceptual, sorry.
Okay. No problem.
Good
That-
eyes.
That concludes my questions. At this point, then, we will open the public hearing on this item. Staff, were there any public comments received for this item?
We have not received a request for public comments in chambers. Attendees participating on Zoom, please click the hand icon to make a public comment on item number 5. And we do not have any public comments via Zoom.
Thank you. We'll now close the public comments and have discussion among the commission. Who would like to begin?
I think it's a very well-designed addition. I think it's handsome and I like the details that they put in. I'm not sure that there's enough differentiation between the new and the old, especially when they're changing some of the old to relate to the new, but how do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think with regards to your last point, I think what's significant about this project is they're removing some prior inappropriate alterations. For instance, those skylights on the one-story addition and the vinyl windows where they exist. So what struck me as the most significant attempt at differentiation was the fact that the second-story addition is 21 inches lower than the existing second story. So they chose to deal with it on that scale rather than a detailed scale. But welcome any other comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I first want to say thank you for the presentation. It's not the drawings provided were excellent, and your presentation on video was also excellent. I have to say that's the first one we've seen that way, so quite nice. So thank you. You're raising the bar.
My wife has a better voice than I, so.
I thought it was.
And she does it in one take. I would take like 3 hours.
You're raising the bar. No, it's fantastic. So this is a very good example of not only a great presentation, but really good design. I think you've articulated the pieces beautifully. You're using great details and materials. You're adding new things that are still really well complemented. I like the change on the very subtle change in the window panes. So I really cannot say anything wrong about it. It's really quite fantastic. So I want to congratulate you and compliment you. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Ding.
Great presentation. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. And again, I just want to echo what my colleagues have said up here, Patrick. I think this is a really, really well done project, almost a textbook example of how to sensitively add a second story on a historic home and maintain the character and integrity of the structure. So good job. All right. If no other questions or comments, then we can entertain a motion.
Having said all of that, I would make a motion that we find this project exempt from the CEQA requirements and that we approve the project as submitted, subject to the conditions of approval.
Second.
All right. Motion and second. Staff, could we please have the roll?
Commissioner Ding,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lopez.
Yes.
And Chair Gallatin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, congratulations. Project is approved. Next up is discussion item 1209 Indiana Avenue. This is a landmark historic designation request. And Mackenzie, you're giving this report? Okay, great.
I will be presenting item number 6 on the agenda this evening for project number LMR 230001. On August 27th, 2023, the city received an application for landmark designation for the single-family residence located at 1209 Indiana Avenue, pictured on the screen. The residence was built in 1911 and is an intact chalet craftsman bungalow. Here is an aerial image of the subject site. It is located on the westerly side of Indiana Avenue and surrounded by residential uses. Pursuant to SPMC 263, in order to be designated as a landmark, the subject property must meet any or all of the 11 criteria and standards for designation. They are on the screen. I won't go through all of them at this moment. Staff recommends the Cultural Heritage Commission appoint a subcommittee of 2 members to review the application for consideration of a landmark designation. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Any questions of staff?
Quick question. So the subcommittee gets created before a historic resource analysis gets a study gets done and all of those things.
So that's currently being prepared. So that will be presented to the subcommittee prior to a site visit.
Because it seems to me that we want to see that before we actually create a subcommittee. I don't have a problem creating a subcommittee, but it seems to me a bit right. I mean, shouldn't we
Well,
have that
I
report done
think-
before?
I think we can proceed with staff's recommendation to form the subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
But the
All right.
subcommittee won't have anything to work with yet until, as
Okay.
pointed out, that HRE is submitted.
Okay.
Can you
Fair
remind
enough.
us of the time frame again? These have to be done for our city schools by the end of the calendar year?
No, that does not have to happen by the end of this calendar
I
year.
think you're thinking of the mills.
Yeah,
Oh, that's, didn't these guys want this to happen this year for some reason?
Well.
okay.
oh,
Yes,
go
that
ahead.
would be desired, but is not
It's not gonna-
feasible given that it's close, but for the sake of time, that's why we wanted to sort of present and get the formal subcommittee established while other work can be done in the meantime.
But it won't really matter because it won't come into play until all of next year.
Yeah, so for the landmarking, there's 3 public hearings that the project has to go through. The first is to establish the subcommittee. The second is the subcommittee making its recommendation to the CHC. And then if CHC approves that, then it goes to city council and that's sort of the third public hearing.
Mackenzie, I had one quick question for you. The very last page in our packet is a photograph of a retaining wall. And at the header, it says Vaughn Residence, 925 Palm Avenue. Is that just a typo, or is this page from a previous application?
So that would be a question for our applicants who are on Zoom.
We do have Debbie Howell Ardilla.
Greetings, Debbie.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hello, can you hear
She's
me?
on already.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Hello. So Mark, once again, you found a typo. That was indeed from an old application. I can always, you're the best proofreader extraordinaire there ever was. So thank you for that. Indeed, that's a typo.
Okay, very good. Thanks for clarifying that. I had a follow-up question though, Debbie.
Yeah.
Is the retaining wall a character defining feature of this property? And if so, would its repair be eligible under a Mills Act contract?
Well, based on precedent for past applications that I've done for our commission and that have been successful, we have included structural stability studies and geotechnical studies, right? Because it's an absolutely key way of making sure, of preserving one of our historic properties. So we've done that. We did that for the first Mills Act that I did for Wingate in 2009. We did that for the recent Bank Street designation and Mills Act. Included that as well for one of the properties up on Buena Vista. So it's an issue that so many of our historic properties face because of the fact that many of them are sited on, slope sites or even hillside lots, where there might be site erosion. There's settlement issues that are, kind of interfering with the water, controlling water flow, and even cracking foundations and other similar related issues. So in the past, yes, we've included the geotechnical studies to figure out what's going on. For the bank property that we did 2 years ago, we included in the Mills Act capitalized expenses. That's a different issue. Of course, we're just talking about designation, but we included a two-step kind of process and Mills Act project. The one was a geotechnical study, and the second was actually generating the engineering drawings that would allow those property owners to then move forward with stabilizing the site in the second 10-year term.
Okay, thank you. So it would be fair to say then that generally speaking, a structural feature like a retaining wall here, while it may not be a character defining feature in its own right, the potential for failure of that feature poses a threat to the historic resource and therefore comes under the aegis of a Mills Act contract.
Correct. And similarly, we've included for Wingate as well, also for the Orange Grove property, which was also 3 years ago, we included structural upgrades and retrofitting. So yeah, so it's on that level of we've just got to keep this property standing up, and I think that the retaining wall in this case is so important because of the fact that they've got a slope site right behind the house. So it's like a little mountainside, but it doesn't have a lot of landscape. It doesn't have a lot of vegetation. And so the fact that the wall is it's showing water coming through is a real concern, especially given that we're we're coming up on an El Nino year, so hopefully, that we're trusting that this is going to hold up for now. But it's definitely something that the property owners, it's a 112-year-old house. It's one of the most intact, by the way, chalet craftsman that I've seen. It's just beautiful, incredibly intact, but large scale, lots of wood, wood shingles, lots of kind of high maintenance items. But the key really is making sure that the property isn't deluged with any kind of problems coming from the hill behind it.
Okay, very good. While we have Ms. Halardilla on the Zoom call here, does anyone else have any further questions of her? No? Okay, well, thank you again, Debbie.
You're welcome. Nice to see you all.
And at this point, I will ask for volunteers to serve on the subcommittee for this project. Okay, Conrado, thank you. Well, if you feel that way, don't let me stop you. All right, very good. Thank you. We have our subcommittee then of Vice Chair Lopez and Commissioner Morrish. And I think we need a motion and a second to formalize that. So I will move that we form a subcommittee to consist of Vice Chair Lopez and Commissioner Morrish.
I will second.
Okay, and staff, please take roll call.
Commissioner Ding,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrish, Vice Chair Lopez,
Yes.
and Chair Gallatin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our public hearings for this evening. And now
I
on to the
apologize.
minute.
I'm so sorry for going off mute. Oh, sorry. One quick point of clarification, if I may, with apologies for interrupting, Chair Gallatin. Commissioner, one of the commissioners had mentioned that for the designation, they anticipated an HRE, but that isn't actually the case for designations. You will see, just as a heads up, right? I didn't want you to be surprised when you receive it. You might have, I'm not sure if you've done previous designations recently, but the landmark application will include much of the material we include in HREs. However, this property, having been found eligible in all of our surveys, most recently confirmed in the 2017 survey as individually eligible, we just prepare a landmark designation that does include, the reason statement and makes identifies character defining features and everything else, but the format will be different. Just wanted to let you know.
Okay, appreciate that distinction.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you again. Okay, now we will move on to the administration section of our agenda, beginning with comments from our city council liaison, Mayor Pro Tem Znaimer, who I believe, did you have a birthday yesterday?
Yes.
Let's all wish the
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem a very happy birthday.
Yes.
Thank you. I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, very good. We'll move on then to comments by commissioners. Chris, anything to share? And I'm sorry, when you led off here, you said you asked for an update on something and I didn't hear it. Oh, the Rialto, okay.
Staff person, I guess, me particular, matching planning manager here, sorry, apologize for that. That project was handled by our deputy director, Allison Becker, so I'll reach out to Allison to give commission an update. I wasn't personally involved with that particular project, so sorry, apologize, I don't have an update for the commissioner.
I actually received the last letter of demand from the city to inquire on all the historical elements that were covered. Someone killed the momentum. I will not say who it was, but I'm gonna pick up the ball when I become mayor.
Thank you.
Next year?
Yes, no, December.
No, December. yeah.
December, perfect.
Okay. Any other comments, Chris?
So that if someone were to make an application now, what's the backlog for CHC public hearings? Like, what's the timing that you say that somebody could come to the counter with a historic property for our review? Is it a month or is it a year or what is the timing?
Thank you for the question. And I think you notice that every month we bring kind of 2 or 3 cases to the commission. So the speed definitely I think being increased. I think speed it up, and also I think with the additional staffing that definitely helps. So I think, for example, the one we just had 650 Grand Avenue, I think was submitted a little bit in June. So this is what, 3 months, 4 months. So definitely significant progress than previous. I know some of the commission have been to the process before, so we're definitely aware of the backlog, and I guess I think we're happy to say that we still have a project like every other agency, right? We have a project, but I don't call this a backlog. I think a perfect example is the one that we just had. It was submitted in May or June of this year, and this is October, so it takes 3 or 4 months kind of get back and forth with the applicant. Of course, with every project, our staff will do due diligence to check everything, make sure it complies with the code, complies with design guidelines. So there definitely will be back and forth. But I think a perfect example is what we had tonight is everything's kind of getting smoothly and everything's being speeded up. So very good.
Yeah. I can also share with the commission that staff continues to provide me with a regular diet of chair review projects, at least one a week. It seems like, sometimes more. And, we do our very best to try to turn those around expeditiously. So. Okay. Conrado, any comments? Okay. Jeremy. Okay. I have nothing. So next up is comments from subcommittees. Any subcommittees wishing to report out?
We have the subcommittee on Wayne, but it's no activity. And I think the last meeting, they decided not to be continued and they'll just renotice when they're ready.
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
one.
1716 Wayne, I
Yes.
believe.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, staff can report on that one. So thank you, Vice Chair Lopez and Commission Dean serve on the subcommittee with 1716 Wayne. So I reached out to the case plan and Radio Madrid, and at this point, staff is waiting for the applicant to resubmit. So sometimes in this case, that we're waiting for the applicant to resubmit back to us so we can present to the subcommittee to review. So
Very good.
Okay. Well, Matt, it's time for comments from staff.
thank you, the commissioner, for very efficient meetings. We appreciate all your effort and also kind of get our project get approved. So do have like one update. It's more like economic development update. As many of you heard that the Vaughn's Shopping Center, or the former Vaughn's Shopping Center, is going to a remodel. So one of our project planner, Sandra Robles, will be taking the Vaughn's facade remodel and master sign program to the design review board meeting in 2 weeks, which is November 2nd. So that project will go to design review board meeting in 2 weeks. So that project will be a kind of facade remodel and also master sign program. The project doesn't involve any increase in square footage. So literally just the facade and the sign. So kind of modernize the shopping center.
Matt, does it involve partitioning of any of the existing space?
One of the questions I think many of you, the members, might be asking, hey, who the new tenant is going to be. We don't have that information. The property owner hasn't disclosed that to us. But it is for their proposal. They do intend to split the Vaughn's space into 2 tenants. One larger size, one is smaller. But like I said, we don't know who the new tenant is going to be. I know many of you are interested, but we don't know that. So, and another update is yes.
No, can I ask you one thing? I don't. This is not my speaking as commissioner of any kind, but that the boarding, if at the design review board, if the staff could talk to that property owner, it looks so terrible with that boarded up windows. It looks like it was broken into or bombed. Could they do any sort of decorative thing to that plywood before they build out that property? Because it's going to be a minute. And I know that the proposed tenant has some very cool graphics or something they could put up to cover up that board, because it just looks terrible. I mean, you drive down Fair Oaks and half of that shopping center is boarded up. It looks like another city.
Although while it's technically outside our purview,
Totally
that,
outside our
that's something that suggestion might be something staff would want to broach with the Public Arts Commission.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
they could work with the property owner on
And it
doing
should,
some temporary.
and it should
artistic
be a
thing.
requirement from now on. I think we've gotten to the point that even those kinds of boards should have some decoration to them. It should not just be plywood kind of thing.
Hmm.
So even just painting them a color, a white or whatever, would be an improvement. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you for the suggestions. So definitely. One more, I think, I guess I won't call it an update. I think as we're coming to the end of the years, we have one meeting in November, which November 16, and the December meeting is December 21st. At this point, staff is more leaning toward canceling December meeting because that's really close to the holidays, like 2 or 3 days before the holidays. So, but of course, staff will reach out to the commissioners. So if we decide, or I guess we can figure out at that point we might cancel the December meeting. So, but I just want to give commissioner a heads up. But if commissioner have any plans, let us know as well, so we can kind of plan ahead for the next couple months, November, December, and January. So appreciate it.
All right.
Well, I can let you know that I'm not gonna be here on the November meeting.
Hmm.
So.
Has this commission ever rescheduled meeting? Like, so I know this because my wife goes to finance commission meetings and they're never on their supposed dates.
Right.
And it irritates me, but that's neither here nor there. But there's always the option of moving the December one forward a little
Right.
bit. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, to answer your question, Jeremy, yeah, we have. I think the Planning Commission differs from us in that they have a lot more special meetings, especially this last year with the general plan and the downtown specific plan. But, Matt, for my part, I would just go on record as saying, I think it ought to be what's best for the applicants. If we have applicants that are waiting, I don't mind meeting on December 21st. I don't plan to be out of town or anything like that. So I think the customer has to come first here.
Yeah, appreciate it. So I think I just want to throw out there, but I'm not making a definite statement. I just want to throw out there, but we'll definitely see what the situation looks like at that time. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if that concludes staff's comments, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn to our regular Cultural Heritage Commission meeting of Thursday, November 16th, 2023 at 6:30 PM.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Was it, I think your motion.
I'll move to adjourn and you can second it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.